Alright guys, you're listening to another episode of Geek Cred, the show where we talk about levitation, super strength, controlling the internet with your mind, and other much cooler powers than that. Perfect.
No, we're not. It's so useful. This is like the most useful superpower you could have if you want to blend into the real world.
If you want to blend into the real world, sure.
Yeah, but I mean, if you want to avoid getting lynched by people, right?
Yeah.
Then you want to have something that gives you leverage, but at the same time, you don't have as much visibility, so that people won't go and try to kill you and your family.
Surely that doesn't really have to do with the power, more with how you use the power.
Yeah, but how?
Like, no one would care if Superman was Superman if he wasn't getting in people's way. If he was just like a carny, then people wouldn't care, unless he was ripping them off at carnival games.
But essentially, he's equivalent to a guy who carries around a gun all the time because he has so much power inside him. So even if he's not doing anything, people would still be scared of him.
But if he never used it in a way that would scare them.
But I don't know. I guess it just takes one person to like go crazy and do all sorts of shit under the whole super.
And
thing.
you're afraid of all supers?
Yeah. Okay, not.
So we should have them register and lock them up? You're
No,
one of those
lock them
people?
up. Hey, that's
You
like
want a superhero ghetto?
I mean, it does make
racist.
sense though. it makes sense. I mean, they're dangerous people. It's like what they did in Heroes, right? The company.
Right.
They have a list of people
Yeah.
who they check on
Sure.
at a regular basis, but they don't actually like interfere with their lives until they start showing signs that they're going to be dangerous,
Right.
and then they lock them up.
Although, if memory serves, if people were of a particular sort of power rating, didn't matter if they did something positive or negative. It just mattered that they were dangerous in and of themselves.
Yeah, but I mean, the company in Heroes is not exactly the best model, but I mean, the concept of it.
But surely, if you're just going to do it based on risk analysis, then you have to do it based on likelihood of something bad happening, and then the actual potential of the bad thing happening. And so then, if someone isn't particularly powerful, but they're very malevolent, then you're going to lock them up. If someone is not very powerful, but they're good, they're not going to care. But if someone is radically powerful, it doesn't matter if they're good or bad, because if one bad thing happened, then it would ruin everything, and so you'll lock them up, right?
Well, it's easy to say that.
You just had a nerdgasm, don't lie.
It's easy to say not lock them up because, you know, human rights and such.
Are they human?
They are human. They're
Racist.
just evolved humans.
Okay.
It's easy to say no. It's like when people present you with whether you would say no to death penalty or not.
Go on.
It's the same argument, right? The people who say no to death penalty have never been affected by criminals who have committed such crimes. But then people who say yes to it are people who have previous experiences of it. In the same way in Heroes.
Well, surely the first group is acting more rationally.
Well, yeah, but it's not always about rationality, I guess. You know, people get together and decide on things, not always based on rationality, but they still have the power to make things happen.
So you have to go with your gut, is what you're saying? Okay, and so if you're going with your gut, and you know that someone's very, very powerful, even though they're nice, they could still cause a great deal of damage, and so you should just lock them up, right? That's what you're saying. To all of our listeners. All 7 of them.
What if there are actually powerful people out there and they're going to hunt me down?
They are going to hunt you down, and I'm just going to smile.
Right. I was reading this. Blessed with a thick black moustache and fingers that can tickle a soul guitar into making heavenly sounds. What does that mean? Super useless.
I think you're reading a lot of erotic literature. That's gross.
Is that like metaphorical?
No. It's from a blog, superuselessuperpowers.blogspot.com.
There are, though, a lot of super useless superpowers that people have that are actually in comic books.
Example?
Like this guy.
We should be recording right now.
It's not completely useless, but this guy, his name is Matter Eater Lad, and he's in the Legion of Superheroes in DC Universe. And his power is that he can eat anything.
That's quite useful.
Can you eat nuclear waste?
Well, it says that he can eat anything as long as it's matter, and it's characteristic of his race. He's from a planet called Bismal, and everyone there can eat everything.
Right, so he could be a nuclear waste disposal person.
But that's so sad.
What
It's
if it
so
doesn't affect
sad.
him?
That's food
Yeah,
for him.
but he has to taste it before it goes inside him. Right? How sad is that to be surrounded by a legion of superheroes who can do really cool stuff, and then all you can do is eat nuclear waste?
Hey, he's doing his part.
Yeah, but it's like sacrificing yourself.
Wait, hold on. I thought that his superpower was that he could eat anything, and so he's not sacrificing anything.
Yeah, but-
That's just his food. We'll cover it in vanilla. It'll be fine.
Well,
Vanilla flavored nuclear waste.
That's my second favorite.
but it's still quite sad, isn't it? I mean, okay, Legion of Superheroes. They have other ridiculous things like Bouncing Boy, and all he can do is bounce. And
How high?
I guess it's really high. I mean, if it's his only superpower, I guess he can do it really well. And I saw this like excerpt from a comic book where the guy with the super strength throws him, so he can bounce and then hit the enemy. And I thought it doesn't really make sense because he could just throw something really heavy instead of trying to make.
But that's so much more fun. Like, you're helping too. Go.
And there's another guy in this Legion of Superheroes thing. I don't know what. Okay, he's color kid, and what he can do is that he can change the colors of
This is so
objects.
racist.
Yeah, and he can change the colors of objects, and that's all he can do.
I think that might be the worst one.
No, okay. But later on in his life, when he grew up, he kind of realized that he can do that to camo things. So I guess it became useful later on. But
Wait, it took him into his middle age to realize that?
Yeah, he was color kid, and then he became color king. And that's when he realized that he has camo powers. So he essentially spent like half of his life feeling like he's not worth anything.
He's like, you're purple. Ha ha. I lose. Sorry.
So can he change his own color?
Yeah, he can.
That's beautiful.
That's awesome. And it'll be quite useful. Okay, I feel like I want to have yellow highlights in my hair today. Boom. I have yellow highlights. That's quite useful.
Yeah, well, if you're part of a legion of superheroes, you have to fight crime, not just change the color of your hair.
So I guess that there are superpowers that are useful for day-to-day life, and then there are superpowers that are useful for changing the world or protecting the world or destroying the world. And so something like this color-changing thing could be a fun parlor trick, and it could be very handy for being a very fancy dresser. But then when you get down to it, even being able to camouflage things, I don't know. I don't know if I'd want that guy on my team. No. Okay. Do you have a least favorite superpower?
I don't really like the idea of being invisible.
Why?
Invisibility. Because one of my favorite superheroes, actually, Violet from the film The Incredibles.
Sure.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
who can turn invisible.
Yeah.
It's quite disturbing to me because you can do a lot of things, and sometimes the bad things that you do, it's more than the good things that you do. I mean, what can you do with invisibility?
Sneak up on
A
criminals?
lot of things, yeah. But
What else can you do? Be a criminal?
Be a criminal.
Just like every other superpower.
Yeah.
Yeah, with great power comes great responsibility, man. Standard.
If you hate the power so much, why do you like Violet?
Yeah, really.
The name.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you one of those people that like sport teams because of their jerseys? Ooh, they've got nice hats. Cool.
No, I don't watch sports.
Now, I was thinking about this, and I think that my least favorite, at least in terms of superheroes who are played off as being able to do something functionally, might be Daredevil, because he's essentially got echolocation, and that's his superpower. And so he's the man without fear, but is that a superpower, or is that just like part of his character traits? And so the guy's blind, but he has echolocation. It doesn't really seem like that good of a trade-off to me. I mean, it makes for fantastic stories, but I feel like he got the short end of the stick. You know what I mean? Because look at Spider-Man. He got bit by a spider, and so let's say some of the stuff that he does is equipment, but some of it isn't. So like the whole web slinging and climbing walls, let's say that's just equipment, but he's essentially super strong and he's got spider sense. Those are fantastic powers with no downside. Whereas Daredevil, he's got echolocation, but he's blind. I don't know, man. All the other things that he does are just the regular people things. Like he happens to be good at martial arts. And I think that it's just primarily echolocation, but then also his senses are all relatively heightened. But let's think about the other ones. So, okay, hearing with the echolocation, taste and smell. There aren't really that many pleasant things in the world that you want to have heightened senses of that for. And heightened touch, I mean, sensing vibrations maybe, just like an extension of hearing vibrations. Yeah, I don't know, I think that he gets shafted a bit. That said, reading about Daredevil or watching Daredevil, except for the Ben Affleck movie, fantastic. But I just wouldn't want that superpower. But I have to say, in addition to liking reading Daredevil comics, I'm a big fan of the backstory for Daredevil, which is essentially there's been an accident and now you have superpowers. I'm a big fan of that entire subcategory of superheroes, the people that, whether or not you have a sort of side effect or affliction in addition to your power, just the fact that you were a regular person and then all of a sudden, wham, this new thing is upon you. And another example of that comes to mind, not Spider-Man, but did you guys see Chronicle? Yeah. Okay. So these kids are wandering around in the movie Chronicle, and they find this weird crystal thing, and then they get superpowers. And then part of the actual story of their being super is coming to terms with the fact that they were regular and now they're super. I love that. I think that's a fantastic part of the potential of superpower stories.
I actually think that what happened in Chronicle is like the way that a normal person would react if he found out that he has superpowers. Like he wouldn't really use it for something great or something really evil. I mean, except for the lead guy who destroyed everything. But for the other two guys, right? I think that's what normally would happen to a person. Like he would just use it for his own benefits. Sure. And for fun, for small things rather than something big.
Sure.
They wouldn't really bother risking their lives for other people.
Yeah. So in Chronicle, I think that the majority of the film, if not most of the film, is dedicated to watching these three people who are, two of them are on opposite ends of the social spectrum in terms of being popular and capable of being social, and then there's one person in the middle. But they all come together because they all ended up getting superpowers together. And so part of the movie is really just a sort of bromance kind of thing going on, where you watch them learning how to be new people together. But you can see that one of them is just slowly descending into a bit of madness with this new power. Yeah, and I think that you're absolutely right that we shouldn't assume that when people are super, they become superheroes or become supervillains. It's just they're regular people that are, coming to terms with the fact that they've got this new thing, and they'll play with it. And every once in a while, if they're presented with the opportunity, they might save someone or they might rob a bank. Maybe not the bank. Probably save people. Hopefully save people.
Rob a bank.
I would rob a bank. If I wake up one day and found out that, I'm invisible, I'll go to like sneak up the cashier machines and take money.
See, this is why you don't like invisibility, because you know what you would do.
Yeah. Because I'm imagining the things I would do if I have this superpower.
I can't actually imagine myself saving people.
Yeah, me too, actually.
I can't imagine you saving people either.
What? Okay. I mean, me judging myself, that's fine. You, on the other hand, just because you look like Jesus doesn't mean that you can go around judging people.